All right. So I was in the dining room last night and I said, "Are you coming to town hall?" Most people were like, "No, we're just going to watch from our pajamas at home." I said, well, I can't blame you on that. All right. So we're going to have a lot of people come up today and we're going to leave it ample time for questions at the end. But I'm going to start with Jess and Seth, who are going to give us a little bit of a home care update. As you know, Corrine has decided to spend her time elsewhere, not at Friendship Village, and her last day was supposed to be September 30th, but she has graciously given us some time to help with the transition. So Jess and Seth, with this transition, we are going to roll home care under the leadership of these two so that we have all of the clinical components under one reporting structure. So I'm going to let them talk about the plan. Who wants to go first?
Good morning. Nice to see you all today. So yes, some exciting updates. We're really excited, as Rita said, to celebrate Corrine's long tenure here and wonderful leadership of our home care, which 8 years ago when I came looked vastly different than it does today. A lot of evolution and development and change and growth. And so we fully intend to continue that pattern to serve needs in independent living and across our campus as we get ready for our Rowan House, as home care has their hands in every level of care. So our plan with Jeanette has been on our campus 7 years, has worked very closely on our regulated side of the campus with Waterford Place specifically, worked with the Meadows when the Meadows was our assisted living operation, and works alongside the team with admissions and residency, transitioning folks through the campus as they need things in a long-term capacity and a short-term capacity. So she has a really, really great insight and understanding of what our continuum of care product is, how to help people prepare, and some of those great qualities that home care services exudes in terms of linking and latching people with a service-rich environment to help you stay in a lower level of care, which is usually the vast preference. So we'll be working with her. Corrine will be here until, as Rita said, the end of the month. Seth and I will be helping to support the learning curve of Jeanette Rollwalt as she works alongside of Corrine, but acclimates to the team, the operation, and some of the changes there. We did mention, for those of you that know some of the components and the champions in our billing department, Heather McVeigh is our billing specialist for Waterford Place and our Alderwood operation. And so she's going to take on being the billing champion for home care services, which is also going to be another piece of tying together different parts and pieces of our campus. So she's got a great understanding of that billing process and will be a really wonderful resource in that way as well. Seth, I don't know if you want to jump in and add any.
I will just add that just Jeanette was identified really as a really strong operations person. She's really a super user of point-click care, which I'm going to talk about here in a couple slides. We've talked a lot about streamlining our organization, and this is certainly a move to that and building some continuity and consistency with our operations, with our clinical team. So I know Jeanette's extremely excited for the opportunity, and she'll continue to work closely with Jess and myself and look for areas to get better, as we always do every day. So excited for her for this opportunity, and also excited for our team over here in home care. So
I will just add that while Jeanette is going to kind of assume the business overall leadership for home care, we do also recognize that there's also a need from a clinical perspective to have somebody to support and do the assessments and those types of things. And so that person is still being identified. We are doing some recruiting for that. Obviously, you've heard that there's a staffing shortage around. I don't know if you knew those things, but it's going to take us a little bit of time to find the right person for that. So this is step one and probably several steps. Ultimately, our goal is to be able to have home care support all of you, Alderwood, Waterford, Friendship at Home. Right now, we use outside services for Friendship at Home, and then ultimately, if possible, the Bailey. So there's a lot of transition that will occur over the next couple of years, and we're just starting today. So we'll have fun together. Yes, Pat.
Is Janet's role different than what she's doing now, or who's going to do the identification and so on?
So the question is her role changing? Yes, it is changing. She is a licensed nursing home administrator, same as Rita, myself, and Jessica, and she works closely with our clinical leadership team in the health center in Waterford, which has set her up and prepared her for this opportunity, like Rita said, to match her with our clinical team and home care services. She will not continue. So thankfully, Corrine is really helping us out, and she's extended her time with us to make sure it's a smooth transition, which started Monday, right? So just Monday, Jeanette started sliding over, spending time with Corrine, and we have been working hard. Actually, we have a meeting today, a second meeting, making sure any gaps that Jeanette helps support in our health center Waterford are being filled appropriately, and we do not miss anything.
So there'll be some shifts in the operation in Alderwood. So Vicki, who's kind of our clinical nurse manager, she will actually be the manager for Waterford. I think Waterford is at the point where it's pretty stable. So she will assume that leadership. She's incredibly capable and able to do that. And then Jeanette really supported from a staffing perspective. So Angela, when she gets up, she can talk about some of the roles that are shifting in the operation in Alderwood to support that. The name of the game here is flexibility and being able to be nimble and work and try and make the organization better. It is not going to get any easier when it comes to staffing. So we're just all going to have to work real hard, us especially, making sure that the decisions that we make are strategic and they are covering the basis and they are allowing growth for those people who are in the organization who want a new role or a new challenge, like we all do at some point. And so that's a perfect example of what's happening here. Not necessarily. So we should have probably put an org structure up here. So it's all basically the same. So what will happen is Corinne's area of home care and residential services, instead of Corrine managing that, Jeanette and a nurse will manage that. So that's that. Those are the personnel changes. When there are personnel changes, there are usually operational changes that occur. So those are the backfill positions that we're working on doing at this point. It's going to evolve. This is just the first step. We have to see how it goes. We'll see what the next piece is, but this is the first step. And Corrine has been an incredible, awesome human being, and we will miss her dearly. So they are big shoes to fill. There will be hiccups. We know that. We are all prepared for that. And we'll just have to work together and making sure that everyone who utilizes home care is extra communicative with us if things are not what they were and or what they expect. Thank you. All right, Matt, let's have a little culinary update.
Good morning, everybody. So we've been busy. We're going to try to keep this down to where we need to be. So effective Friday, we are switching our broadliner, which is our main company who we order most of our groceries from. We are switching from Cisco to Gordon Food Service. We will be placing our first order on Friday, delivery on Monday. It's not going to be, they're not going to fix everything, but we're going to, what we're really hoping with the partnership with GFS is that the communication will be better. We'll know earlier when we're out of things, and we'll be able to react faster. That's one of our big things. But we think with a good local company, we'll have some better luck.
Before we leave that, can I ask a couple questions on
Yes.
this for you?
Okay.
So this transition from Cisco to GFS, what is the underlying reason that we are making this purveyor switch?
Great question. So
You're welcome.
it's like, oh God, you threw me for that one.
Can you stand in the middle so the people at
Yeah,
home in their
sorry.
pajamas can see you?
Sorry. I won't wear pajamas. I promise. No, we went from being managed by LCS to linkage. Then we were looking at.
Hold on. They got it. They don't understand. Okay. So when we work through this transition from LCS, one of the things that will be going away is our large GPO or group purchasing organization. So right now we use Cisco as the main food purveyor for all of you. They are based in Cincinnati. That's a long way, right? 2 hours away. And the struggles that we've been having with Cisco is that we used to get a daily shipment of food, and we would order certain things. So if you were tomorrow having my favorite taco and margaritas, and the next day, tomorrow, when the food came, there wasn't any ground beef on it. Well, that would happen more often than we would expect or like. And so one of the reasons that we're switching is because when we would make these food orders, the food wouldn't come. And so then we would scramble, and there was no communication that the food wasn't coming. Another example, there are food shortages all over. Who's seen the ships out in the Pacific waiting for all the stuff? Yeah, there are food shortages all over. The challenge for us is we have to communicate with you to say, oh goodness, this food's not coming, we have to switch the menu. And that, they were not being great partners. So we now have switched to GFS, or will be switching to GFS, who are located in
Springfield, and then all the stores, the 18 stores in the Columbus area.
So there will be more availability and better communication. GFS is kind of like a Cadillac, where Cisco is kind of like a Ford. And so, but the price is similar. And so the service and the ride are a little different. And that is why with this transition with LCS, we felt it was important to then make this step sooner rather than later, so that we could be extra helpful for all of you. You will not know that we've switched the food. So you're not going to know that. It's a behind the scenes thing.
Exactly.
Thank you for
And
letting
so,
me play
yes.
along.
Sorry, exactly. No, it is a better partnership with Gordon Food Service as an independent. They are family-owned company based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I've worked with them for a lot of years, and I have seen them and worked with them. They're much more a better partner for what we need. It's not going to solve all of our shortages, but they're going to help tremendously. Second thing we're talking about is the River's Edge store inventory. We're working on that right now to develop we're going to kind of come back a little bit. We're going to pull it back to where we were pre-COVID. We're going to have a new policy, all the items not a lot of the items are not going away. We're going to keep most of the items. We will be bringing back the purchase of fillets and salmon beginning November 1st. But we're just going to set some parameters on the whole convenience store. But we are going to open it. We are actually, in addition to the River's Edge hours, effective November 1st, we will be going from 8 to 8 in the River's Edge store and in the River's Edge Cafe. And we'll be expanding the menu. We've got a lot of work going on. And that finishes into my last one of the fall menu changes, is we will have a new menu starting in River's Edge Cafe. And the bistro will be starting next Monday. It'll be a brand new menu. We're going to bring back some hot food, some new cold sandwiches. The grab and go will still be available in the River's Edge, but we are working on getting it to a service standard again, to have a server out front that if you want to sit, we will come serve you and make your food to order. And that will be starting on next week, or the menu will be starting on the 18th. The whole new service, the new hours, will be starting on November 1st. Additionally, the last thing we're working on is the Riverwalk menu, where we will be having a new menu starting October 25th in the Riverwalk. So one of the things I'll tell you ahead of time is that we will have prime rib every day. For those of you who don't remember, I did work at J. Alexander's, and I learned how to cook prime rib here or there. So those are all the major changes happening. So, anything I missed?
I'm just going to supplement a couple things.
Okay.
So who remembers March or February of 2020? I know, it was like pre-whatever, BC. So if you remember, the River's Edge store had a selection of things, and you could come down and check it out. And then who remembers when we shut the grocery stores down and you couldn't get anything, and we were just worried about feeding you, and so we were like, oh, we can go to the grocery store for you. Well, Tim is spending probably 20 hours a week going to the grocery store for all of you. That's half of his job. And so what we're trying to do is really make sure for us to be able to open up the River's Edge Cafe the way it was before COVID, we need Tim to be able to be here to be managing that, which means that we have to look at the operations and say, oh goodness, what do we need to do differently? And that is managing the River's Edge store. So there are Seth and Matt, I think, are going to work on some capabilities in Touchdown to have what's the thing?
And we're going to have an app. You're going to be able to switch on to groceries. It will take you to Kroger's, Meijer's, Giant Eagle, Whole Foods, to their links to be able to do online ordering right from Touchdown.
So that's not going to happen today. So don't get all excited.
Still
but it's
working on it.
coming. But that's one of the things that we're going to work on. There are tons of new tools post-COVID that we can utilize, and Instacart and Meijer Delivery and Angela Vogan, what is it that you use every week? Click lists that you can go on and be prepared. Picking up your groceries. Tim's just not going to be available to do that for you anymore, starting November 1st. Fair? Fair. All right. Thank you, Matt. That's all I got. Thanks. Okay, Seth.
You didn't mention legacy.
Legacy's not changing.
Legacy, we changed the menu 3 weeks ago. So all the specials in Legacy on the buffet. She was asking about the Legacy menu. We actually started the new Legacy special menu 4 weeks ago. We're in week 4 of that already. So all the specials, everything you see on the hot buffet has changed. We're now in a new 4-week rotation. We did not change the regular always available menu. We left that as the same because I thought that was a pretty stable menu. But the Legacy menu has changed already.
All right, so this next slide is really a continuation of our home care announcement, and really quite a big project we started in January, Rita. I think Rita and I really started working hard on this transition in January, and just here in the past couple of months, I've seen it come to fruition. So, and really kudos to Corrine and her team. They have spent hours training with Point Click Care. I wish she was here to talk about it, but so Point Click Care is our electronic medical record. We use it obviously very heavily in our health center, or Waterford Place, and we really wanted to unify really our clinical operations, and so we rolled it out and made the migration for home care services to use Point Click Care. So really taking any of their paper-backed processes and now mirroring kind of how we operate in Waterford and Health Center for home care services and independent living. So doing point of care charting, assessments, charting and documentation, med administration records are all now being done in Point Click Care through home care services. Again, processes, they're really mirroring what we're already doing across our campus. And from our standpoint, that's really helpful for our staff. They can go in now across all levels of our care and be familiar with Point Click Care and how it's set up and how it works. And again, Jeanette has really been identified as a super user of Point Click Care. So rolling her over to home care services, we now feel good about what we can do there with her driving that bus with home care services now utilizing Point Click Care. Next slide. Okay, so this is more of a reintroduction. So I believe February I talked about our new real-time satisfaction survey platform. So long story short, I had a kickoff meeting with NRC as who we partnered with to really look at some 6 months of data is what I thought I was going to look at. Got in there, it looked about 10%, 15% of what I was expecting to see. So obviously there was a large gap, there was a large issue. So I spent about the last 6 or 8 weeks working closely with Point Click Care to identify the gap. So essentially what happens is this NRC platform pulls information from Point Click Care based on when I moved in. So if I moved in today, I should be getting a survey here in the next couple of days because it's automated with Point Click Care. that wasn't happening with our anniversaries. So raise your hand if you've had a survey, a call, an email, asking you some questions about your time here at Friendship Village of Dublin. See, so there was
Seth, it's not looking so good.
it's
Ben.
not looking good. But the good news is I think we corrected it, and we've spent a lot of time here the last few weeks making sure it's corrected. So the way it's set up, just as a reminder, it's called NRC. It's a real-time platform. It's integrated with point-click care. It's doing anniversary satisfaction surveys, move-in surveys, move-out surveys. And again, the biggest error we corrected was for really independent living resident anniversaries. So they had set up the file where it was just on your first anniversary. And I said, that's not going to work because we're missing, the majority of you have lived here more than 1 year. So it has been corrected. It does give us some really good data to compare ourselves against different industries, certainly senior living and also hospital, and that's at the local, state, and national mark. So just a quick reminder, this kind of gives you a breakdown of when these surveys are sent. And again, this is the big one we corrected, the resident anniversary surveys. So that's for all areas across our campus, health center, assisted living, and independent living. You should receive it's set up to give you a phone call, and then an email. So if you get a phone call saying around your anniversary, asking for feedback, it's us asking through our partners at NRC. So we went live, and then again, this information is really meant to be incorporated in our quality assurance performance improvement platforms that we use on our campus to look at metrics and a continuous improvement environment. Yes? I'm actually asking them for what the number is because I would like to get that out to you guys. So I do know we made it a Dublin number, but I will get the specific number and the email as well. So you guys will know it's not spam because I know we all get a lot of spam these days. So we'll make sure we get that information out. That's a good question. Pat?
I wouldn't remember a number. Is the name, did they put the name in, the caller ID?
I will see if I can get how it pops up on the caller ID. Well, that's who we partnered with. It should come across as like Friendship Village of Dublin in the email and in the phone. So I will double check that, but hopefully soon, if you have an anniversary this month, you will get a survey phone call. But I am still continuing to meet with our partners, Point Click Care and NRC, to make sure this is shored up and corrected. So,
Seth, does this replace our large resident satisfaction survey?
It does not. So this is really, I think Rita and I felt we wanted more real-time satisfaction and feedback from you guys. So this is to complement that, and then obviously we'll have our big resident satisfaction survey.
Probably next spring, early spring. We want to make sure we can have a good party with it. So
I think between the big resident satisfaction survey and then these pulse real-time surveys, that's really good information for us to help us look for opportunities or gaps in our services and to improve. Continuously improve is obviously our overall goal. So, yes.
Can we go back to Point Click Care?
Yes.
How are you going to, well, first of all, is that separate from my chart that's Ohio Health?
Yeah, so the question is Point Click Care separate from, your hospital, your physician, electronic medical records, My Chart or Epic? Yes, it is separate. It is what we will utilize in our operations.
it's also a long-term care. So when you think of senior living, Point Click Care is the epic of senior living, and it's our internal medical records. So it won't have an interface like My Chart does for you. COPC has access to Point Click Care, and so yes, so they can, like in the health center, they can get in, see it, work on it. The integration is not easy, so we are actively working on that, and we're taking donations if you'd like to contribute towards that. They are part of that. Two separate things, apples and oranges. Okay, great. Yep, Mitts, and then we'll keep moving.
A move-out survey is only at the time of death.
Or move out.
Move-out would be,
You don't like Friendship Village and you go to live at XYZ. It occasionally happens. We don't like it when it happens, but occasionally it happens.
It's rare. That's a good question.
Repeat the question.
The question is if I move from independent living to assisted living, is there a move-out survey? And yes, there would be. That is a good point, Mitz, because it's looking at independent living point-click cares module, and it's going off that census date. And that would be good information we would want to know.
All right,
Good
we got to
question.
keep moving. We got to stay on agenda, so we only are here for an hour. So Steve is up next. Thanks, Seth. We appreciate the update. Be on the lookout for your survey. All right, Steve.
Good morning. It's been a while since I've been up here in Town Hall. Rita's asked me to give a little update on both the Ash Run North hallway renovations and the Rowan House. There's only one picture of the hallway, and it's really just to show you some of the arches that's been put in. Every floor has arches installed down through there, and with the hope of trying to break up that long, skinny hall. As you can see, that's the 5th floor, and it's the most complete. But they still are on schedule for before Thanksgiving. That's what they're promising us. They've had to shift some trades around to try to meet that, but they're still on schedule. The other floors, if I was to show a picture of those, it's almost like showing how hot dogs are made. You don't want to see it until they're. So but they're in the process, and everything is on track, and they're going to hopefully get that done before Thanksgiving. The Rowan House, which is our new memory care in the old health center, imagine most of you know the health center was vacated Friday, and everyone was moved over to the Alderwood. So that building is now available for reselling. We've gave them notice of that. They're actually bringing in some subcontractors tomorrow to get a better idea of what they are going to be doing. They haven't had a lot of eyes on because of COVID and that being a health center, we wouldn't let them in. But they're gearing up, and as soon as they can get their contractors ready, we're going to be starting down there, and we're hoping for a next fall completion date. And anyway, that's about it for update. Yes, ma'am. She's asking me if the asphalt on Ash Run is going to be completed, and that is totally Andy Howland's.
The answer is no. So the question is the blacktop going to be completed this fall, and we're hopeful that it's going to be done in the spring. So we've run up against colder weather and just not being able, because of the transition, to do it. So the good news is you can look forward to it in the spring.
And construction and trades like that are also affected by the job shortage. If you was to let a trade, let's say you had a painter and you couldn't let them paint that week, they're not going to wait for you. They're going to go off and paint other jobs, and they may not be back. So it's really imperative that we keep on a schedule with construction. Even if things look a little out of sync, it's because if you let them go to their other job, they may be there and won't come back. And it's tough out there all over.
It is tough. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Nice to see you. And your jokes are great, too. You can give that to Jess. She's going to come up and give us an Alderwood update.
Well, Steve gave you a little bit. If you didn't read the community updates, we moved mountains on Friday, so I'm so excited that, well, there is a slide and it kind of recaps the saga that we've been embracing, going back and forth with the Ohio Department of Health, which is really our enforcement agency for certification and licensure, of which has been hanging up the remainder of our move to Alderwood. But we would have moved even if it was a Sunday afternoon. We usually don't try to put anything new in motion on a Friday right before a weekend, but we were so excited to get the green light. We moved 22 of our health center recipients over to the Alderwood second floor, and I'm so grateful to say that we had a big group of residents, staff, family members who just celebrated midday on Friday being out of our old health center, and knowing that that is going to be transformed into our new Rowan House very soon.
I just want to put a little color on this. Jess, what time did you find out on Thursday that you could move people?
It was about 6:50 p.m.
And what time did you start moving people on Friday?
We were in at about 7:30 a.m. So there were some that I think we had ESS that was in at 6 a.m., just priming the place, getting all the carts and everything ready, and we had everyone moved by noon.
I think that deserves a round of applause. You want to talk about anything else?
What else do I have?
I think you got it. Yeah. Okay. That was a good update. Angela Bogan.
Good morning. So just want to let you guys know that last week we had our top workplaces celebration, and it was a big event. So thankful to a group of residents that helped us sort of pack all of these bags. I think we ended up with almost 200 that were packed, stuffed. They were beautiful. The associates came out, started about 6 a.m. in the morning to pick up their gifts and their breakfast sandwiches and their treats, and they were just so excited. It was a good day. In fact, a lot of them, if you could see Cheryl over there, came out and they're like, wow, these are for us. So it was an excellent day. If you don't know what the top workplaces is, it's a survey that we do every year and that sort of compares us against other organizations that are like us. And if our results are high, then we get to be deemed a top workplace. And we've been that for, I don't know, the last 7 or 8 years with the exception of 1 year because we just didn't do the survey on time. So we are excited to have that, and soon we'll be going for that again.
Angela, what did the associates get in the bag?
Oh, they got beautiful white shirts with our logo on them. So we like to call that FED swag. So they were super pumped about them, and you'll see them around the campus, but they love them. And then I want to introduce Linda. So Linda is not here with us today, but I want to share a funny story. I said, Linda, can you come in for town hall? And she smiled, and then she got sad. And I said, what's the matter? She said, I really would love to, but then I have to come back to work later at 4. And I said, well, I think when you're the associate of the month, you get to choose when you want to come. So she did write me a little note, and I'm going to share it with everyone today. So Linda Hansel, of course, is our receptionist at the front desk, and she said, I am very appreciative of this award. It is one of the best things to have happened to me. I enjoy working with and for the residents. The residents make my job enjoyable. In fact, when we gave her the award, she was so shocked, all she could say was, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me here. And it was very sweet. And she didn't believe it at first. And I said, oh no, this is your name, Linda. It's here. So we are, congratulations to Linda. She got that award because we had a touchdown kerfluffle. It all went down. And she said she individually signed 20 residents up that way, all by herself, because she could tell that they were so stressed they wouldn't get into the activities. I think it was actually for Active Aging Week. And so, you know, it's a big deal. People need to be signed up. So we're grateful. Honorable mentions, Merlin Hamler and ESS, the security team. It was a dual honorable mention for Steve Farah and Joe McCafferty, and then for Brad Booth in maintenance. So congratulations to all.
Thanks. Thank you. Angie McKeever is going to come on up, and I was in the dining room last night, and I got asked about 10 times when we were turning the heat on, so Angie's going to start with that. Will you stand in the middle so the people at home can see you? Yes. Thank you.
So the good news is the heat is being turned on today. Now that everybody's out of the health center, we can turn the heat back on. We were keeping it on so we could keep them warm over there if need be. So today you'll be able to use air conditioning and your heater if you would like. So that's some good news there. We're turning on the heat today on the A and the B side. Yeah, so if you didn't have, yeah, the flats, you have heat all year round, so you're good. Okay, so I want to talk to you for a few minutes about motorized carts. Sure. Um, so as we know, we have some motorized carts in the village, and I'm not sure, this document is not new, but it is the electronic mobility vehicle cart rules and acknowledgement. It's a 4-page document, which obviously you cannot read that, so I'm gonna pull out some of the important pieces to that. So 3 miles an hour. I know that that can be hard to do, but for everyone's safety, we need you to slow down, keep your eye out for traffic, and go the 3 miles an hour if possible. So again, make sure that you're operating that cart slowly. Keep your eyes out for other residents, staff, guests, the housekeeping, cleaning carts, and other items which may be in the hallways or elevators. So just be mindful of everybody in your surroundings. Okay. The carts, if you are in one of the motorized carts, make sure that you travel in the center of the hallway. I know sometimes around corners it's hard to see, and sometimes they come around and can tend to cut people off. So just make sure that you're going the 3 mile an hour and making sure that you're slow going around the corner and making sure that there's no one in the way. Residents shall exercise extra caution when approaching doorways, intersections, and congested areas. So make sure that when you're driving through the lobby, we're getting ready for an event or a field trip, just make sure, be mindful of everybody that could be standing around and waiting for the buses to leave, so be careful. And the resident should never approach too closely to people who are standing or walking who have their backs turned. I know that's sometimes hard to do, but just if you're going slow, just be mindful not to get too close to other residents and other staff. Okay, and at the end of the document, this is on the last page, and if you have not received one of these and you have a motorized cart, you can get with me, or I believe marketing has it, Emily, and we will make sure that you get that. Again, it has the rules and acknowledgments and everything that we've talked about today and more. And again, it will discuss that they recommend that you have insurance, but you don't have to, but they do recommend it. So that is motorized carts. Yes.
Yesterday, somebody had a motorized cart out in the paved areas where the cars are, and it was difficult to see. I would have suggested they had a flag or something, so that, again, it's safety for both the person on the cart and the person driving.
Okay, so it was parked like it was in a parking place?
It was in an actual, behind the parked cars where somebody would be driving.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're going to have some motorized cart parking, aren't we?
Yes. Yes.
Will any of those warning signs be posted around so people can see?
No. The question is, will there be signs posted? And that's what we're doing now. We're telling you. Please be mindful of other people when driving a cart. All right. Windows.
All right, windows. So in February, I was here a year, and it's been a question almost every week, windows, when are we going to get new windows? So on the A and B side, this fall, they are going to start Adena Corporation, who is a big construction company. They're going to be taking care of replacing the windows on the A and B side, and they're going to start with the exterior of the building first. They're going to fix the masonry, because if we just stick new windows in, there can still be leaks, and it would just defeat the purpose. So we're going to fix the masonry. We're going to install new weep holes, repair the mortar joints and control joints, the tuck points, and remove existing sealant material, clean and prime, and get everything ready to put those new windows in. And that will happen before the windows happen. And then once that concludes, then we will begin putting in the windows. And those are Pella windows. I don't know if anybody's familiar with those at all, but they're a very good window. I know they're out in the villas, and I think they're in the flats as well. And instead of the crank window, I went with a sliding window because I know those cranks get cranky and they don't want to, they break, they're hard to turn, so I went with sliding windows for ease of use for everybody. And as soon as I get a date, hard date on that, I will let you know. There will be a schedule that goes out, and it'll be done in phases, so it's not going to be all done in one day.
Will it all be done this fall?
We will finish up in February, should be the completion of the windows. And the reason that it's taking so long is because of the shortage of, it's taking a long time to get the windows in. So that's why we're starting on the exterior.
Perfect. Hey, I have another question. What's going on with the roof in Alderwood, and why didn't we do it when we did the big Alderwood renovation?
Okay, some of you may have noticed the new roof going on Alderwood. It's new and exciting. We're replacing the shingle roof, and then once the shingle roof is finished, we're going to replace the flat TPO roof, and then we're going to fix the gutters so it will no longer wash out Andy's beautiful flowers. He's clapping in the back. Yay! The mulch. So it's going to look very good over there. And the reason that it did not happen during construction was there was a cap, and we were trying to stay within that budget. So that's why it's happening now.
So if you all remember, we talked to you about the certificate of, just help me, Seth, just certificate of need. CON. And so if you remember, they changed the ruling on this in October, and we started our construction project in April, well, March, I guess we started. So we only were allowed to spend $2 million on our renovation, but it backed out resident bathrooms, common area, kitchen areas, and office spaces. So if you back out those three big things, we were only allowed to spend $2 million to renovate our project. The total project cost for Alderwood was about 5.6. So we had to get a little creative. And so one of the things that we did, if you remember, we put the windows in because they would be disruptive if we went in. A roof is a little loud for those people on the third floor, but it's tolerable for 2 weeks. So that's why we made the decision to delay the roof. And because we wanted it in a different fiscal year, that's why it's happening now. It was supposed to happen in July, but like everyone else, things take a little bit longer and they're a little bit more expensive, and that's why it's happening now. And it should be done this week.
This week, and then the flat roof will happen next week because of some of the rain delays. And I also wanted to mention that before we started the roof, they took care of the masonry. They fixed the masonry at the top of the building so that not only would our roof not leak, but our building, the windows and concrete and bricks will not leak as well. So,
thanks, Angie. All right, Emily. You get to stand right in the middle. I'll be your Vanna for you.
Okay. All right. So as you can see, we've been busy. So the sales and marketing team has done, am I good? The sales and marketing team, we've been very, very busy meeting with people. So as you can see in September, we had William and Marie King, Bill and Marie King, who moved into A466. The Inkleys have closed on A367, but they will not physically be living here probably till first quarter of next year. So you won't see them around, but they will be eventually. But they wanted to go ahead and secure their spot here. So we're excited to have them. And as you can see, upcoming in October, we have lots of scheduled move-ins. So we have John and Donna Kachinka, who are coming into Riverstone 4311. They are going to close on October 27th and move in November 1st. So you'll see them. Audrey Hyatt Sims for B130, closing and moving in on October 20th. Stephen Dot Dolan for A470, closing on October 26th and moving in on October 29th. And then Carol Hofer and A339 is closing on the 19th and moving in on the 21st. Plus, we have another 6 households in paperwork with plans to move in the next couple of months. So very, very busy.
Joyce Wells.
Oh, yes. So Joyce Wells should be taking occupancy next Monday, just finalizing some paperwork there. So there's all of our upcoming move-ins. And then next we have the resident referrals. So as I mentioned in previous meetings, we are looking at every other month. We were initially planning to do like a resident referral lunch, right? To have you come up to lunch, bring somebody who you thought might be interested in the community. With our current restrictions in the dining rooms, we haven't been able to do that. So we've been creative. In September, we did the Ice Cream, You Scream, We All Scream for Referrals, that event, which we did get a handful of new leads from, so we appreciate that. But every other month, I want to come to you and ask you, like, hey, have you thought of anyone else? For November, it's still to be determined as Jeannie, I wanted to wait for Jeannie to be done with Active Aging Week, but spoke to her this morning, and we're gonna be trying to come up with something fun in November to do, something outdoors, something fall related for you to be able to invite people to visit our campus outside for a referral event. So stay tuned, more information will be to come, but I wanted to go ahead and bring it up because I'd love for you to be thinking about who you'd like to invite. If you're curious if somebody's already in our system, feel free to reach out to us, but feel free to invite anyone that you think that might be interested in kind of just coming to the community and seeing what it's all about and seeing how active and fun engaged all of you are. So we appreciate every referral you give us, so I thank you.
Thanks, Emily. I don't dance, but when Emily told me that the other day, I literally stood up because I'm so excited to bring, and everyone is so lovely. So I think you'll have so much fun with the new residents who are moving in. I want to take an opportunity to thank Jeannie. I'm going to have her come up. We're going to give her another round of applause for the work that her and her team did for Active Aging Week. I heard in the dining room last night that Jill Dogie lost 5 pounds because you guys were so busy. I said, maybe I should consider that. But you did an excellent job. We're so appreciative of all the work that you do on that and the details. And just, I thought it was excellent. So we appreciate you very much. And we know with JC gone, it was a little extra hairy, but I think you guys knocked it out of the park. So great work.
Thank all of you. Yeah, I just, again, want to thank all of you. I did get a little bit of rest, I should say we all did over the weekend. But it wouldn't be possible with all of your participation. We appreciate that. That makes it all worthwhile, you all coming out and having a good time. So thank you so much. And we'll start planning next year soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeannie. All right, so we've accomplished some pretty massive things this month. We finally got Alderwood. We've got our Salesforce transition. We had Active Aging Week. We've moved in, I think, 6 new residents in the last 45 days. So we are feeling pretty happy and pretty excited. We still have a lot of work still to do. We're still working through the payroll transition. Craig and his team are spending, this is the first month that we'll have a new financials, well, not new financials, new system to do the financials. So you'll be seeing those in the coming days. And we still have about 90 days before our transition to LCS is over, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But I hope that you're seeing and feeling all of these things kind of come to fruition. And I know we're really looking forward to being back out with all of you and hearing all the good stuff. So with that, I'm ready for some questions. Yes, Bob. Where did the name Rowan House come from? It's a great question. It was a very long, laborious process.
We did a very extensive research, and we asked lots of people what names we should be naming all of our new buildings as we were building them. And one of the names that came up was Rowan, which means it's a healing tree in Ireland and in the Celtic world. It's considered a powerful tree of healing. And so when we heard the word Rowan, we decided we liked that for Rowan House. If you will notice around our village, we like rivers and we have lots of trees. So we chose alderwood Alder is a tree, Rowan House is a tree, and so we've kind of leaned into some of our tree names. So that is how we came up with Rowan House, that is a powerful tree of healing.
I know last night Jane gave some suggestions like bed spring, and what were the other ones that you were throwing around? Sycamore. Got it. It was very difficult to name a health center. And we feel Alderwood was a great thing, and I think also in the Gaelic transition, and then Rowan House too. So a little nod to Dublin and a little nod to Friendship Village. Mitch.
I think it would be helpful if we could have possibly Touchdown a list of those who are move-ins in the last 6 months. And that would be easy to get to if it's possible to do that in Touchdown.
Great suggestion. The suggestion was on Touchtown, it would be helpful to have a list of people who have moved in the last 6 months, and Emily can help us get that, and we'll get that updated on Touchtown. Thank you for the suggestion. Yes, Laura. How is JC doing? I heard we're not allowed to talk about this, but close your ears, HR lady. She's doing well, better, I think, than she did before. She's going to be out for a while. She's going to take some time off and really try and recover and feel better. So, yes. So then who is the point person for the bazaar? The point person for the bazaar, did you see Jeannie raise her hand like this? Yes, so Jeannie is going to help us with the bazaar this weekend. Yes. Yes, Andy. Yes. Who has a blue fob that I can hold up? And then can you help me with this? Or is Chris here? Angie McKeever, can you call Chris and see if he can help me with this? So this blue fob that you all have, thank you, Jake, to open the building, this past weekend, we had the server go down. That's what happened. The server went down, and for whatever reason, these lucky people, their door fob did not work. So Tom actually came in, I think it was on a Saturday or Sunday, I forget, Saturday. Thank you, Jake, to get those updated. These fobs, they should not need to be recycled. But we will put this on the town hall agenda because even last night I heard a lot of rumors about it. The issue is more about the server than it was about the key fob. And so the server went down, Tom came in, rebooted it, and all was right in the world. But that was the issue with the key fob. But we'll put that on the next town hall. We'll make sure Chris is here to address that. Good?
Do they need to be rejuvenated periodically or not?
Not to my knowledge, but I can't answer that. I've been here 3 years and mine has not been recycled, so that's where I think we are. Yes, Graham. Yes, I even brought the big wigs in to help you with this question. Okay, let's just talk about that. So I think Graham's question is a little bit related to the annual increase in the monthly fees and then how that correlates to the food. And I'm going to have Craig talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think most of you know we divide you up basically in thirds or quarters so that you all don't expire on the first of the month, even though you're billed from the 1st through the 30th or 31st. We can't have a run on the village store all on the 30th of the month. So if you don't know that, you do now. So, some of you expire on the 10th, some of you on the 18th. You're all different, okay? So the first month, basically, or the first time you would have increased after July 1st is when you see your increase go in. So even though your 4% room increase starts July 1, your 4% food increase starts the first, some of you on the 10th of July, some of you on the 20th of July, some of you on the 30th of July. And then next year will be the same thing. So that's why if you were to look at your food allowance, say July 2nd, but you don't renew until July 10th, you would have thought, gee, I didn't get an increase. But you did if you just look at your next one. Now, having said that, we all are human, and she does have to enter these for 300 different individuals. So if you look at yours and it doesn't happen, please contact us. But I'm pretty confident, or fairly confident, or 99% confident that everyone should have got an increase. While she's allowed me to have the mic, let me talk a minute about the financials she talked about, because if you have home care and then all of you have your rooms, your statements are going to look different, not this month, but starting next month, okay? I think they're going to be pretty simple and self-explanatory, but I just did want to alert you, going to a new financial system, your statements will look a little different. It's the same system we currently and have used in both the assisted living and the health center. So if you've had rehab or one or another of the spouses have been in our health center or assisted living, it'll be a similar format, but I just wanted to alert you that the statements you get in November will look a little bit different, and maybe we'll do a 5-minute YouTube or something to try to explain that, but I just wanted to give you a heads up since she allowed me to have the mic. Yes.
Another question on the food allowance. It appears to me that the Riverwalk is, eating there is a lot more expensive than being at the Legacy.
Pat?
Some people always eat at the Riverwalk. Are we all paying as much for food a month?
Pat's question is, the Riverwalk prices appear to be more expensive than, say, the Legacy or the cafe, and I believe that is true. When with what you're all seeing and hearing, if you go out to dinner in Bridge Park or anywhere else, especially the beef prices are astronomically high at the moment. And so a lot of the seafood, I think, too, Matt. So again, a lot of what we're serving down there are those types of dishes. So yes, I would say if you eat 7 days a week or 6 days a week in the Riverwalk, you're likely to outspend your allowance. We hope that's temporary, but we absorbed it for a while, but at some point we couldn't absorb it any longer because those prices are up 15, 20%. It was basically costing us more to buy that product, and let alone put any side dishes or servers or any other time with it. So, yeah, and then the second part of that question, is everyone's allowance the same? Yes, everyone's allowance is the same.
It's confusing as to whether that's real money or funny money. Is that included in our monthly?
Yeah, so what you get, I'll just use an example. If you're billed $3,000 a month, I believe it's $482 of that is your food allowance. So if you were to look the first day of your cycle, and again, each one of your dates is different, you should have a declining balance of $482. And then as you spend it, you should see on the bottom of your ticket that you get, it goes down, down, down until your next monthly cycle.
So several years ago, we went to a preferred dining program. Do you remember when that was, Craig? In your tenure? Okay, so let's just say 10 years ago, we went to this preferred dining option. Instead of going and having one meal a day at this is what you get, we're allowing all of you to have flexibility in what you do. So that's where your let's just say, call it $450 comes from. It's not traditionally $450. So it's a little bit of funny money, and then it's a lot of bit of real money when you pay your monthly fee. Because your monthly fee goes to paying the electric and paying our incredible team's salaries, and goes to, what else? The food and landscaping and flowers and the roof and fixes and all those things that you would, food, like milk, it goes to all of those different things. So your allowance is a set allowance in that money. But if you don't use it, it doesn't come back to you because those monies are already planned and budgeted if you don't have them. That's also why we have the 2 additional meals in the health center is because your $450 should pay for 1 meal in independent living. Now, many of you could probably eat on 2 meals. If you eat in the Riverwalk, you could be at 1.5 meals, whatever it may be. But we're just allowing you a massive amount of flexibility within that $450. Guess who's here? So the question was the blue fobs. Thanks, Craig. The blue fobs, how often do they have to be recycled or reset?
So when we first initiate doing them, I always put it at a 5-year limit. So as soon as you guys get a new one or you bring it to me to update, if it happens to fail, I check to see if it's expired or not, and then I update it to a 5-year range. So even if you break them or whatever, we still update them as we get them to a 5-year range. The issue we had the other day was the server went down, and now we're working with Tom, so my guys know how to go to the server, reset it, and we'll be able to update and not have that issue we had the other weekend. So we're in the process of training my guys now, so off hours and weekends, we can update that server and get any issues that might happen if Tom or Anthony aren't here.
But after 5 years, do we get a notice to come and get our fob reset? Or what happens at the 5-year point?
Usually at that time frame, something happens within that 5 years. That's why we did the 5 years, so that it would just, the fobs don't stay forever. That's the thing. So something at some point within that mechanism may fail, or we have a time frame of when things may fail, and we can go about it that way.
Do we have a preventative maintenance on those fobs?
Only with the card readers themselves.
Okay. So
The
maybe that's
fobs
something we
themselves
can
are
look
just independent to the doors. So as soon as you guys move or update or around that time frame, we can update them as they come. That's how most residents do now. If they happen to fail on them, they bring them to me or the front desk, and we can check them to see if that can be fixed.
Laura? We're going to look at it. We'll spend some time looking at it now that we understand it a little bit more. Good question, good thought. Yes, Smits. Yeah, and her point is that when her fob failed, it was very inconvenient. Sometimes those are just going to happen, but I do think maybe we can put them on a cycle and review them on a biannual basis. But your car breaks down on the most inconvenient thing. But this is a good. Thank you for the suggestion. Thank you for the question, and we'll address it. Yes. Those don't need to be recharged. So who's got a fob? Lois has got a fob here. She's holding it up. So your pendants, your emergency pendants, talk to us about those. These are very smart. We don't have to worry about that.
Right. So with these, we do get an actual alert when the battery starts to go low. So we'll get an alert saying the battery's low, it needs changed, and then we can have Sally call you, or we'll just change them and come to you and tell them when they need to be changed.
So your emergency pendants are smarter than both of us combined. And it will tell you, I think it tells you at 50%, then 25%, and then gives you an alert. So every morning when we get our security report that you've either pushed your button or you've not moved, that shows up to say, Lois Meredith's pendant is at 50% battery life. And then we proactively will go and replace those. So I wish the key fobs were as smart as your pendants, but thank goodness your pendants are smart because they need to be smarter than the key fobs. Yes.
Electronics are so unreliable. Why didn't the keys work? Why did we go to
It's $1 million. It's actually a $2 million question. So the question was, Your Asa Abloy key fob doors that you use your fobs on sometimes are faulty and unreliable. And so why did we switch from a key to the fob? I'll take a stab and then you respond. So when we looked at actually rekeying in the north to do fobs, because what happens is that our associates get a red fob, and then like I have a yellow fob, and so we're able to tell who's coming and going in your apartments when we know that when those fobs are activated. So if you live in Riverstone or the Flats and we think that Chris is going in your apartment to take a nap, we can see that it's an odd fob going into those apartments. And then the security cameras can go and take a look at what those are. So the fobs have a great benefit. Also, if we have to terminate an employee for whatever reason, we just deactivate their fob. Keys are harder. Rekeying the building costs lots and lots of money. And so the fobs are, while they are inconvenient, they are more user-friendly when they work than a key would be. But we did look at refobbing and he's not here, the refobbing the doors in the north, and it was, I want to say it was like $500,000 or some like incredible amount of money to get the fobs on the doors in the north. Eventually, we're going to have to do it, because eventually we'll need, just like a hotel, we'll need to be able to be more adaptable than just the keys, but it's not a high priority right now. One more question. Yes, Joe.
Been a problem recently with respect to the doors closing after maybe a test or an alarm. And in one case during the day, it was in the last couple of weeks, they were on my floor in Rainy White, closed for more than an hour. And you can't reopen them because when you shut off, you put it in and that's a real problem for their residents.
Okay, so let me repeat the question, and Chris can answer it. So when the alarm system goes off for whatever reason, the fire door's shut, because we're a shelter-in-place community, though that's the intended purpose. There are times that it takes up to an hour to open those, and you can't reset them because they don't stay open.
So for that particular incident that you're talking about, we did have a failure on our fire panel. So we initiated a fire watch through all the areas that had to go, and it took almost an hour for us to be able to get the doors to reset. So it was that D hallway that was shut down. On any of the other incidents, as soon as myself, Steve, anybody that we can get help, we try to get to all the doors as soon as we possibly can. We just have to wait, one, respond to the incident, what's going on, two, make sure that it's clear, three, then get to the doors after the panel has reset so the doors will stay open. Does that help you with that?
So the fire panel's also very smart, thankfully. And if it senses any smoke or fire or burn or any of that, it will shut. And it doesn't, the fire system will not reset until you actually punch in push the button to reset it. So when we were testing Alderwood and we would put it on trouble or test mode, those doors, the magnets don't open, and the magnets won't allow the doors to open. It is unfortunate, but it's also good that we have these issues, because then we can fix them in a non-emergent situation. So many fun things, right? That's what happens when you have 500,000 square feet of fun to work through on a daily basis. Okay, we're over our timeline, and I hope everyone has a great day. We'll be here, and if you want to come next month, it's much more fun in person than it is at home in your PJs. So we'll see you next month, and have a great month.